All right. Peter Parker, are we ready? Somebody get excited. Here we go. All right, we are in more about alcoholism, the insanity chapter. Bill just took us through all of that craziness after giving us the solution to our problem and giving us a design for living that really works, and he takes us back to the mess. Now he's going to give us a couple of stories here. One is about Jim, and the other one is a guy named Fred. He gives us two separate stories, and one is a guy who holds on to his resentments, and the other one is a guy who just has a strange mental blank spot. So let's take a peek and let's listen to these stories. Keep that in mind. Jim is an angry man. He wouldn't tell it from the outside. Here we go. The first example is a friend we shall call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. He inherited a lucrative automotive agency. He had a commendable World War record. He is a good salesman. Everybody likes him. He is an intelligent man, normal so far as we can see, except for his nervous disposition, restless, irritable, and discontent. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent when intoxicated that he had to be committed. On leaving the asylum, he came into contact with us. He became that dangerously violent, real alcoholic. We told him what we knew about alcoholism, the belief system, and the answer we had found, our trust in God. He made a beginning. His family was reassembled. He began to work as a salesman for the business he had lost through drinking. Think about that for a minute. All went well for a time, but he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. He did not seek God, and he did not help others. Every Wednesday night when guys come back to the rescue mission that I haven't seen in a while, and they say, oh, yeah, I got drunk again, I go, oh, did you quit seeking God? Yeah. Who are you helping? Nobody. Oh, recipe for disaster. Seek God, help others. That's spiritual living. To his consternation, he found himself drunk a half a dozen times in rapid succession. On each one of these occasions, we worked with him. He kept coming back half a dozen times. They kept trying. Not every newcomer gets struck well instantaneously in a moment. Took me 7 years, 30 days at a time. Fail, 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 fail. Just keep throwing seeds, please. On each of these occasions, we worked with him. He agreed, he complied, he went along with. A lot of people will agree with what you have to say. That's not really the same as being sold, which the doctor described in the doctor's opinion. Being sold on these ideas. When you're sold on something, you're going to commence to take action. I can agree with you. You know it when you're talking to a guy, oh, yeah. They give you the yeah-yeahs. This guy gave him the yeah-yeahs. He was a real alcoholic and in serious condition. He knew he faced another trip to the asylum if he kept on. Moreover, he would lose his family, to whom he had deep affection. Jim is an example of a man who gets sober but never deals with his resentment and anger. Here it comes. What's the resentment and anger? And how does it pour itself out? Bill's third time, he's going to do the eye trick again. He's going to point out Jim's selfishness and self-centeredness. He was not happy about being a salesman for a company that he owned. That's a pretty rough way to go. And he didn't deal with it. Kept it all bottled up. Yet he got drunk again. We asked him to tell us exactly how it happened. Now look at that page. This is his story. I came to work on a Tuesday morning. I remembered I felt irritated that I had to be a salesman for a concern I once owned. I had a few words with the boss. He has a little argument because he's smarter than the boss. He don't own it anymore, but But nothing serious. Then I decided to drive to the country and to see one of the prospects for a car. On the way, I felt hungry, so I stopped at a roadside place in the bar. I had no intentions of drinking. I just thought I would get a sandwich. I also had the notion that I might find a customer for a car in this place. Look at how he's talking himself into it, which I was familiar with. I hadn't been going there for years. I had eaten there many times during the months I was sober. I sat down at the table and ordered a sandwich and a glass of milk. Still, no thought of drinking. I ordered another sandwich and decided to have another glass. of milk. Suddenly, put a little dot right there after suddenly and write SMBS. Strange mental blank spot. He's angry. See what happens when we hang on to anger? It's poison. It separates us from God. Resentment is the number one offender. Kills more alcoholics than anything else. It is deadly to us. Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind. Here it comes. Boom, temptation. That if I were to put 1 ounce of whiskey in my milk, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. Isn't that beautiful? Come on now. Give me a sandwich and a shot of whiskey and milk. The milk will coat my stomach. What a great idea. Cat with a ball of yarn. Here he goes. I ordered the whiskey and I poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being too smart, but I felt reassured as I was taking the whiskey on a full stomach. All right, now check this out. The experiment went so well, I ordered another whiskey and poured it into the milk. It didn't seem to bother me, so I tried another. Come on now, 3, maybe 6, 6, maybe 12. Here he goes. Thus started one more journey to the asylum. It's only funny to us, right? This is right. Here he goes. Here was the threat of commitment, the loss of family position, to say nothing of the intense mental and physical suffering which the drinker always caused him. Now, if you don't know the solution and you're reading this could make you a little sad. I think it points out that anger thing. He had much knowledge about himself as an alcoholic. He knew about the physical allergy. He probably knew a little bit about the mental obsession. But he hadn't overcome the strange mental blank spot. Because that requires for successful consummation that you get everything that separates you from God out of the way. Steps 4 through 9. Yet for reasons yet obscure for not drinking were easily pushed aside in favor of that foolish idea. That foolish idea is the obsession. That foolish idea leads us to the strange mental blank spot. That he could take whiskey if he only mixed it with milk. Boom. The essence of temptation. Right after that thought, you play with it, you hang on to it, you think you're okay with it, you don't rebuke it, you don't get rid of it, you don't ask God for the next right thought, you don't go work with somebody else, you stay in your anger and you stew in your whiskey. That's Jim's story. Whatever the precise definition of the word may be, we call this plain insanity. Jim drinks again. How can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight be called anything else? You might think this an extreme case. To us it is not, far-fetched. For this kind of thinking has been characterized by every single one of us. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences, but there was always, there it is again, that curious mental phenomenon. That parallel with the sound reasoning, there inevitably ran some insane, trivial excuse for taking the first drink. Our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check, and the insane idea won out. The strange mental blank spot. Bam. The next day, we would ask ourselves, in all earnestness and sincerity, how it could happen. In some circumstances, we have gone out deliberately to get drunk. Sometimes we do that. I deserve it. I'm going to go get drunk. Feeling ourselves justified by nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or the like. But even in these type of beginnings, we are obligated to admit that our justification for the spree was insanely insignificant in the light of what always happens. We justify our drinking, that's insanity. We now see that when we began to drink deliberately, I drink to change the way I feel. It's the progression of the illness. Instead of casually, there was little serious effort or thought during the period of premeditation of what terrific consequences might be. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink as one would say an individual with a passion for jaywalking. He gets thrills out of skipping in front of a fast-moving trolley. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of a friendly warning. Up to this point, we label him a foolish chap. having a queer idea of fun. Odd idea of fun. Luck then deserts him, and he's slightly injured several times in succession. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. Presently, he is hit again, and this time he has a fractured skull. Within weeks of leaving the hospital, a fast-moving trolley car breaks his arm. He tells you he's decided to stop jaywalking for good, but in a few weeks, he breaks both his legs. Now check this out, right? If you just put alcohol in there in the way that we drink, doesn't it sound the same? It's completely insane, and that's how people look at us. On through the years, this conduct continues, accompanied by the continual promises to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether. Finally, he can go no longer. His wife gets a divorce. He is held up for ridicule. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. He shuts himself up in an asylum, hoping to mend his ways. But the day he comes out, he races in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? You may think this illustration too ridiculous, but is it? We who have been through the ringer have to admit that you substitute alcoholism for jaywalking, and the illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects, we alcoholics have been involved. We have been strangely insane. It's strong language. But isn't it true? The belief in an illusion is delusional thinking. Delusional thinking is insanity. The belief that I could drink like normal people when over and over I keep failing is the essence of what's wrong. And it does fit exactly. Some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. Oh, I'm not quite like that. We admit we have some of the symptoms. I only have some, but not all have gone to the extremes you fellas did, nor are we likely to. For we understand ourselves so well after what you have told us that such things cannot happen again. That happens. You talk to a man, oh, I got it, I can handle this. We have not lost everything in life through drinking, and we certainly do not intend to. Thanks for the information. They come into rooms and leave all the time. Whoa, thank you. That kitchen's a little too hot. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go see the guys at Rational Recovery. Bring it. That may be true in certain non-alcoholic people, though drinking foolishly and heavily at the present time are able to stop or moderate because their brains and bodies have not been damaged as ours were. But the actual or potential alcoholic, with hardly an exception, will be absolutely unable to stop drinking on the basis of self-knowledge. Isn't that great stuff? This is a point we wish to emphasize and reemphasize, to smash home upon the alcoholic reader, as it has been revealed to us through bitter experience. Let us take another illustration. This is Selfish Fred. You can write in the margin next to the paragraph right there, Selfish Fred. We got Angry Jim and Selfish Fred. Fred is a partner at a well-known accounting firm. His income is good. He has a fine home, is happily married, and a father of promising children of college age. He is so attractive a personality that he makes friends with everyone. If ever there was a successful businessman, it was Fred. To all appearances, he is stable and well-balanced individual. That's what we look like when we stop drinking, too. Yet, he is alcoholic. We first saw Fred about a year ago in the hospital where he had gone to recover from a bad case of the jitters. It was his first experience of this kind, and he was much ashamed. Far from admitting he was an alcoholic, he told himself he came to the hospital to rest his nerves. That's what my dad thought I was doing when I went into treatment. Resting my nerves. Remember that? You're just a little nervous, Rick. Okay. The doctor intimated strongly that he might be worse than he realized. So the doc's trying to tell him, I can see your liver. For in a few days, he was depressed about his condition. He had made up his mind. The battleground of the problem is in the mind. It doesn't get solved there. You don't control the thoughts that come in. You only control what you do with them. So if you're trying to control it only on your mind, you better think twice. To quit drinking altogether. It had never occurred to him that perhaps he could not. Who thinks they can't stop drinking when they really want to? Until they've really tried and then they know they can't. In spite of his character and standing, Fred would not believe himself an alcoholic, much less accept a spiritual remedy to his problem. Don't be bringing your God around me, you crazy religious types. Keep on ranting, Bill said to Ebby, right? My liquor will last longer than his ranting. We don't want to hear about God when we're drinking. Don't want to hear it. We told him what we knew about alcoholism, and he was interested and conceded that he had some of the symptoms. But he was a long way from admitting that he could do nothing about it himself. He was positive that this humiliating experience plus the knowledge he'd acquired would keep him sober for the rest of his life. Self-knowledge would fix it. Yow, poor Fred. We heard no more from Fred for a while. He managed for a bit. One day we were told he was back at the hospital. Where are these guys hanging out? They're hanging out at the hospital or working with others constantly. This time he was quite shaky. He soon indicated that he was anxious to see us. Yeah, I bet. The story he told was most instructive, for he was a chap absolutely convinced that he had to stop drinking, who had no excuse for drinking, who exhibited splendid judgment and determination in all his other concerns, yet he was flat on his back nevertheless. Now you can already see with all the I's boxed in this paragraph where selfish Fred's going, right? Let him tell you about it. I was much impressed with what you fellows said about alcoholism, but I, frankly, did not believe it would be possible for me to drink again. I somewhat appreciated your ideas about the subtle insanity which preceded the first drink. He didn't buy the strange mental blank spot. But I was confident that it could not happen to me. After what I had learned, I reasoned I was not so far advanced as most of you fellows, which is common. If you share this part of the drinking problem with people, a lot of people just won't say they've got it yet, but it'll stick in their craw. That's the earful. That I had been usually successful in licking my other personal problems, and that I would therefore be successful where you men had failed. I felt I had every right to be self-confident, that it would be only a matter of exercising my willpower to keep me on guard. In this frame of mind, I went about my business, and for a time things went well. I had no trouble refusing drinks, and I began to wonder, had I been making too simple of a hard work of a simple matter? He entertains the thought. You're being a little hard on yourself, Fred. You've got this. You don't need God. You are God. One day I went to Washington to present some accounting evidence. And on the 40A, where it refers to Romans, that scripture is, I do the things that I don't want to do. I do it against my free will. Here's where he's going. To the government bureau. I had been out of town before during this particular dry spell, so there was nothing new about it. Physically, I felt fine. Neither did I have any pressing problems or worries. My business came off well. I was pleased. I knew my partners would be too. It was the end of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon. I went to my hotel and leisurely dressed for dinner. As I crossed the threshold of the dining room, the thought came to mind, here it is, that it would be nice to have a couple of cocktails with dinner. Temptation, followed by the strange mental blank spot. That was all, nothing more. Boom, I ordered a cocktail. Selfish Fred is so prideful that he cannot see what God's ready to do for him. I ordered the cocktail and my meal, just like the guy with the milk, right? I'm going to eat a little bit of dinner. I'll have a cocktail. Life will be good, doing good, feeling good, looking good here in Washington, being a big shot. Then I ordered another cocktail, 1 maybe 2, 2 maybe 4, 4 maybe 8, 8 maybe 16. After dinner, I decided to take a walk. So he has a couple of pops, and then he goes for a little walk. I returned to the hotel, and it struck me. Another strange mental blank spot about to come. Here comes another little idea. A highball would be fine before going to bed. Just a nice drink to put me to sleep. So I stepped into the bar and had one. I remember having several more that night and plenty the next morning. Now he's going to lose it. I have a shadowy recollection of being on an airplane bound for New York. Guy is gonzo. He's in oblivion. Finding a friendly cab driver at the landing field instead of my wife. Holy cow, is he in trouble. The driver escorted me around for several days. He's on a bender. I knew little of where I went or what I had said. I remember those days. Then came the hospital and the unbearable mental and physical suffering. As soon as I regained my ability to think, I went carefully over that evening in Washington. Not only had I been off guard, I had made no fight whatever against the drink. This time I had not thought of the consequences at all. Boom, the strange mental blank spot. It doesn't even come to mind. You cannot defend yourself against something you cannot remember. If he was close to God, he would have turned to God and been giving him the glory for the success he was having. That wasn't his thought. He'd have been looking for somebody else to help in his spare time. That wasn't the thought. My life is good. My business is good. I've got this. No problem. Pride. As I commenced to drink as carelessly as if the cocktails were ginger ale. I now remember, after. He remembers after. What my alcoholic friends had told me and how they had prophesied. Now, the word prophesy is an interesting one. Bill uses it a couple times in here. When you prophesy over somebody, you're telling them something that they already know in their spirit. When somebody prophesies, they're telling somebody something that God has already revealed to them. So he knew deep down inside that I had an alcoholic mind. And the time and place would come and I would drink. Now look on the A page there. It says on page 40 in paragraph 1, he uses I 6 times, 17 times in the next paragraph, 12 in the next. Bill deliberately, because Fred didn't write this. Bill wrote this in this perspective of a story that he had. And he's pointing out the selfish nature that we have. Your selfishness will lead you back to the drink. Selfish, self-centeredness, pride will lead you back. Anger will lead you back. Those two things will come right after you. It's how he usually gets us. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm going to read it here. 41. So, this is on the A page. So let God work his will in you. Yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper. Say a quiet yes to God and he will be there in no time. Quit quibbling in sin. Purify your inner life. Quit playing the field. Hit bottom. Cry your eyes out. The fun and games are over. Get serious, real serious. Get down on your knees before the master. It is the only way you'll get on your feet. Man, that comes out of the Message version. I like that Message version every now and again. Get down on your knees if you want to get on your feet. Simple, simple message. Selfish, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our problem. They had said that though I would raise a defense, it would one day give way to some trivial reason to drink. This is the prophecy. Well, just that did happen and more. For what I had learned about alcoholism did not even occur to me. Strange mental blank spot. I knew from that moment that I had the alcoholic mind. I saw that the willpower and the self-knowledge would not help me during what? The strange mental blank spots. Bill hits it over and over and over and over. Yet we practice this program without even focusing on that. You hardly ever hear about it, if ever, in the rooms. But it's the key. It's the key that unlocks the door. It's the place where God will stand and bring his Spirit to keep us from temptation. But you got to believe that. You need desperation in order to come to believe. Boom. Love it. Two, two of the members of, how am I doing? 2 pages, 5 minutes. I'm in trouble. Two of the members of Alcoholics Anonymous came to see me. They grinned, which I did not like much. And they asked if I thought myself an alcoholic and if I were really licked. Are you beat up? Are you ready? You ready to be healed? I had to concede both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence and the effect of the alcoholic an alcoholic mentally, such as I had exhibited in Washington was a hopeless condition. They cited the cases out of their own experience by the dozen. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job on my own. Then they outlined the spiritual answer. Come on now, let me tell you about Jesus. And the program of action, which hundreds of them had followed, the Oxford Group's teachings. Though I had been only a nominal churchman, they must have been talking to him about church. There they are, that churchman thing. They keep saying that. What are these guys talking about? The proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow, but the program of action, though sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I would throw away several lifelong conceptions, understandings, out the window. This was not easy, but the moment I made up my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved. And in fact, it proved to be. I decided to follow you, God. If this is your way, I'm going to take it. Bam. Receive. Believe and receive. Quite as important was the discovery that the spiritual principles would solve all of my problems. Over on the right-hand side there at the bottom are the principles that they used. Earlier on, I hit on the Oxford Group's 4 absolutes. What's your name? Julie has them. She asked me for them at the break. If you want those, to write them out, because I went real quick. She'll be happy to give them to you. But here are the things, the proposals that they did. I have since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than the life I had lived before. My old manner of life was by no means one, but I would, how much time? I would exchange the best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back even if I could. Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home with thousands like him. He had felt only the first nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with us, with our conclusion. One of these men, staff member of a world-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to us. What you say about your general hopelessness of the average alcoholic's plight is, in my opinion, correct. That came out of the doctor's opinion. As the two of you men whose stories I have heard, there was no doubt in my mind that you were 100% hopeless, apart from what? Divine help, God interceding. Had you offered yourselves as a patient at this hospital, I would have not taken you. If I had been able to avoid it, people like you are heartbreaking. Though not a religious person, there it is again, I had a profound respect for the spiritual approach. In such cases as yours, most cases there is a virtually no other solution. God is the only way. Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no mental defense against the first drink, except in few rare cases. Neither he nor any other human being can provide that defense. His defense must come from a higher power. Come on now. Let's take a break.